I've unofficially decided that this is not going to have a name really. It's just whatever I name the file is what the file name is going to be. The episode 1, if you want to call it an episode, got so much love that it's kind of scary. Like, how do I back that? I don't know how to back that up. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to back that up. So it's a little anxiety inducing to be here right now, if I'm being honest with you, because I know this episode's not going to be as good as the first. Bro, ask my girlfriend. Actually, don't ask her. Just take my word for it. When I recorded / edited / uploaded that video, I was on cloud 9. I was like, bro, this is like the most fun thing I've ever done. I don't know how I matched that energy. I don't know how I matched that thing, but I'm gonna try. Thank you for the love. I've decided also to put this out very late at night for my insomniacs out there. One love to you, and then the rest of y'all getting a little bit later. It's not that I don't like the rest of y'all. It's just me and the insomniacs got something in common, baby. It's a little over midnight here in Chicago, and I'm not even tired. Not even close to tired. We had a big storm that hit Chicago today. And the tornado sirens were going off in my area. I'm getting texts from family members like, are you safe? Are you safe? Whole time I was asleep. Slept right through it like a baby. And I woke up rejuvenated, looked out the window. The big tree that's in my backyard basically uprooted. Slept through the whole thing. Anyway, so today I only got 2 topics at the top of my head right now. And it might turn into more the more I keep rambling. Listen, somebody's in the comment section of the last episode and was like, Kenny, how is this unscripted when you have topics? Do you not understand what a script is? Like, sure, I want to talk about the last episode. I was like, I want to talk about the Lakers, but I didn't know what I was going to say about the Lakers until the camera came on. Cut it out. So today I have one really good thing I want to talk about and one really bad thing. And I start with the good, man. We talk about like future cores of the NBA. Like, we have the now teams. Those are the Lakers, the Clippers, the Bucks, the yada yada, right? And then we talk about the future cores, and the teams that always come up are like the Pels. They have Zion. They have B.I. They have Lonzo Ball, if you want to put him in the core. That's something we could talk about too. Lonzo Ball's future in the NBA. So I'm putting that in the back. Then we talk about like Atlanta Hawks. They have Trae Young, John Collins, and Cam Reddish for the last 2 months of the season before I got shut down was looking amazing. They have all these pieces, right? They used to talk about the Bulls until this season came up and we like towards the bottom of the list. But there are a lot of teams that get love, and like the Suns are getting a lot of love right now considering they're the only undefeated team left. They have a emerging superstar in Devin Booker, and DeAndre Ayton ain't look bad, even though today he almost missed the damn game because he missed his coronavirus test. Those are teams that we usually talk about, right? The Nuggets, bro. Oh, the Nuggets. And this is not something new. I'm not breaking any news. Y'all know how good the Nuggets core is already. But when we talk about the bubble and the production we've got from some of the players in the bubble that we haven't seen before, it's impossible for us not to have the Nuggets number 1 on that list. It's impossible for us not to, because the Pelicans, the Hawks, the Suns, the other teams that we rank haven't really done anything just yet. And again, we're talking about future cores, but the Nuggets are a future core and a now core. They're trying to compete for a championship now and have the future core to, like, if they don't win it this year, be like, oh, okay, Jokic is only 24, 25. Jamal Murray's only 24, 25. They'll be cool. They'll be better for next year. That team is good now, and for the pieces, they're going to be good later. And they have so much that they can do. Y'all know me as a guy that try to get assets and flip them on the main channel. I do it mostly in 2K. It's a lot harder to make trades in real life. But I know that the person that is running that team, the general manager, is licking his lips at watching all of these young players perform well because, listen, Michael Porter Jr. is a bucket, absolute bucket, and he's doing nothing but raising his trade stock. I would probably keep him if I was the top of the top. But, like, listen, there's some teams out there like, ooh, I'll give up my star for that brother right there. And even Bo, Twitter's a crazy place because they got the casuals thinking that, like, if you were just on Twitter, you think Bo's the second coming of Akeem Olajuwon, and that's not it. It's just funny because Bo's a funny name. He's a crazy looking player as far as like his length and everything, but there is talent there. There's a lot of talent there and a lot of upside. So you take Jokic, who's already a top 2 center in the league, maybe 1, maybe 2, depending on who you ask. You take Jamal Murray, who, if we rank at point guards, he ain't at the all-star level, but he's at that level right beneath it. And we take Michael Porter Jr., bro. Michael Porter Jr. Like, the Nuggets have done everything right as far as drafting in the last couple years, man. For real. Except for the Donovan Mitchell trade. That's one that I'm not gonna say it haunts them, but like Donovan Mitchell's an all-star and they traded him for Trey Lyles. Okay. But other than that, right, Michael Porter Jr. was one of the top high school athletes. Everybody knew that Michael Porter Jr. was a bucket, absolute bucket. But the reason he dropped is because he had these back surgeries. And a guy that's almost 7 foot having back surgeries, anybody having back surgeries, you wonder how long they'll last in the NBA. And that's still a question mark on Michael Porter Jr. Don't think that that's gone or anything, but that's the reason he dropped. And my dad is a basketball fan, but he's not. I definitely wouldn't say that he is on the level I am where I'm watching every single night, right? He's a casual basketball fan, and that is not a bad thing, by the way. There are people out there that get called a casual fan and get upset about it. There's nothing wrong with being a casual fan. You can accept, if you're not watching basketball every day, if you're not diving in stats and it's not what you living and breathing and stuff, it's okay. You're a casual fan, and that's okay. That's okay. Casual fans catch the best moments. You're going to be there for the finals, right? You're going to be there for the all-star festivities. Anyway, so my dad is a casual fan, and I remember that draft class, and that was the Wendell Carter draft, right? My dad was really upset that we didn't take Michael Porter Jr., and the point I was trying to make to my dad is that though Michael Porter Jr.'s upside is tremendous, and he has, all-star level upside, the Bulls at the point were a team that was just trying to get staples, right? We need staples on our team right now. And having Michael Porter Jr. sit out for a season and a half is not a staple. Then he'll come back and still be a question mark. So we went with a guy in our eyes that we thought was going to be good, healthy, bright future instead of the high risk, high reward guy. But the Nuggets, they were good at that point, so they could afford to go high risk, high reward. And that's how you get Michael Porter Jr. Last year, the Nuggets were good, so they can afford to go high risk, high reward on Bobo. And it's been working out. It's been working out. So, like, I'm starting to look at the offseason for them already. Again, I don't see them as a legit title contender at this exact moment, but the future is really bright for them. So you talk about the offseason, they have so many pieces that if they wanted to try to call up another team like, hey, I want your superstar, I want your all-star caliber player, they would be able to package this, that, and this, and that if they wanted to take that route. Or they can be like, hey, Paul Millsap's contract is up. We want to slide Michael Porter Jr. alongside Jokic because they've been playing together in the bubble and they look great together. So there's so many different routes this team could take. And honestly, if you're a Denver Nuggets fan, I would be super happy. I would be super happy. I mean, if you're not going to make trades or anything, you just have to hope that Michael Porter Jr. hits stardom, right? Because if Michael Porter Jr. is just a good starter for you long term, then at the end of the day, you're probably just going to be a good playoff team, you know what I'm saying, and maybe never hit that championship. But oh my God, I love so many players in that roster as far as their upside, man. Bo has some of the best vision I've seen from a big as at a guy that hasn't really played much NBA ball, right? All three of the centers, now that I'm thinking about it, Jokic is the best passing big I've ever seen with my own two eyes. But the Plumlee brothers really good at passing, and Bo dropped like 4 different dimes tonight, and I'm like, that is a 7-foot blank center throwing that dime. The full court run, he had one. It was like a no look to the Plumlee brother down low. It looks good. And I'm not just trying to gas them up, but I'm just showing the love because they have it all set right now. And right now their playoffs are going to be super interesting because Gary Harris hasn't played. Will Barton hasn't played. And eventually, I'm guessing that's going to change, right? They're going to eventually get some PT. And what does the rotation look like now? How many minutes does Michael Porter Jr. get now that Will Barton is back? How many minutes does this guy get? Like, I did not envy Mike Malone because he's going to have to figure out his rotations during the playoffs, which is probably not the best place to get it done. But you saw last year, they can get things done, but it's just not, I still don't have them up there. But this is like a weird situation. I mean, if there is going to be a team outside of the top 3 that you would like to bet money on just because they have talent, the Nuggets might be that team, right? Jokic has looked amazing in the bubble so far. He's looked amazing when he's played. Like this game, again, they didn't play many minutes because what's the reason for it against the Lakers. But even guys like PJ Dozier's been here or there throughout the first couple of years of his career, but in the bubble, he's looked pretty solid. And I could kind of go on Monte Morris, 2nd round pick, one of the best college point guards of that year where he came out and fell to the 2nd round just because he wasn't like a one and done type player. And I don't know who was drafting over there. Was that RG? Was that Carney Shovas, and now the guy who's a part of the Bulls? Because if that's the case, I'm feeling happy about our future drafts and stuff. But they had a plan as a team, and they have made the necessary moves. I think this next offseason or two is going to matter the most about their future, right? If they dive into the luxury tax, they can bring back Paul Millsap. They can bring back Jeremy Grant and just basically bring back the same roster and be like, hey, now Michael Porter Jr. had another offseason to get better. Jokic had another offseason. Jamal Murray had another offseason. And maybe they'll gel more because they actually get more PT together. Or they could be like, Paul Millsap, thank you for the years. We gave you big-time bags and everything. But I think we want to go a different direction. Both things are possible. And one of them might be the right move and one of them might be the wrong move. But I just want to show some love to the Nuggets young core because them boys can hoop. So I talked about the good, but let's get to the bad, man. This team just pisses me off. Probably the most disappointing team in the league to me other than my Chicago Bulls. The Sacramento Kings, man. Last year, I became a League Pass lover of the Sacramento Kings. When they were on, I was watching. Again, I'm an insomniac, so it was a West Coast team. I didn't mind standing up watching them because they were super fun. And they had this streak where they were winning games. De'Aaron Fox was looking great. And then things changed this season. They made a couple crucial mistakes over the last couple years, and now their playoff drought streak is ridiculous. And I feel bad for Sacramento Kings fans because Kings fans ride and die for that organization. They really do. And it's been so long, bro. It's been so long. Some of y'all watching this video weren't even alive the last time the Sacramento Kings made the playoffs, and that is saying something about your organization. So I want to talk about the past, the future of the Sacramento Kings team, and why they have been such a disappointment for me. Like I mentioned, Swiper, De'Aaron Fox had become one of my favorite point guards in the league. He has some custom Nikes, him, Jason Tatum, and somebody else had one. I don't remember who the third person was. These guys had their own custom Nikes. I thought the De'Aaron Foxes were fire. I picked them up. I still wear them to this day. His nickname is Swiper, y'all. Swiper. Last year, they had one of the highest paces in the league. They put up a lot of points, and they had a lot of fun doing so. And then they fired their coach. They got rid of Dave Yeager. And Dave Yeager had the right idea with this roster. You don't have an athletic point guard like De'Aaron Fox, who literally said he's the fastest guy in the league. And then I guess Russell Westbrook put that man to the test. But you get what I'm saying. He's one of the fastest guys in the league. And they got rid of a coach that played to his strengths and got a coach that went to do the exact opposite. I don't know how Vlade Divac can sit down with Luke Walton and his head coaching candidacy meeting, ask Luke Walton to his face, what type of plan/scheme would you run with our roster? Luke Walton say, well, I'm going to slow it up for him. I want to get back to the fundamentals. And Vlade be like, that's our guy. It doesn't make sense. Luke Walton came in, and I ain't got no inside sources, or yada this, or yada that. But them boys don't like playing for him. They don't. They have completely changed up the way they are hooping. De'Aaron Fox had a wishy-washy season. You can tell in the beginning of the season after his injury, because I'm pretty sure he sat out a significant amount of time, unless my seasons are blended together because of everything is so weird now. He's been up and down because you can tell he's trying to learn this new system. He's trying to figure out what the right thing to do, what the wrong thing to do. And it just ain't working like that. Buddy Hield went from one of the one of the best shooters / bright upside guys at 27 years old, getting the bag, to this year, he was just trash. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but he wasn't good enough. They had the man coming off the bench, and now he's unhappy, and I don't know what the heck you do about him. Big mistake hiring Luke Walton. But if you want to go back even further than that, this is going to be a decision that haunts Sacramento Kings fans for the rest of their lives. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. The draft. The Marvin Bagley draft. The Marvin Bagley draft. For y'all that don't know, it was a coin flip, right? It was a coin flip between the Bulls and the Sacramento Kings. Anyway, we could have had that second overall pick, and maybe we would have took Bagley too because our front office is bad. But they take Bagley. And at the time, it's not really looked at to be a bad pick. Marvin Bagley, high upside, obviously good college player. Of course, he was projected to go in this realm. But we know Luka was in this draft. You know, and Luka didn't go 1, he didn't go 2. But I can excuse the Phoenix Suns. Again, they would be a lot better if Luka was on the roster. Let's be honest with each other. But at least DeAndre Ayton has shown that one day he'll probably be an all-star, and one day he may be an all NBA caliber player. Maybe. That is somewhat excusable because DeAndre Ayton has shown to be really decent, really good for the future. Bagley hasn't shown me anything other than a couple really good games. And it's mostly because he can't stay on the floor. And that's something he can't control. So I'm not bashing Bagley the person or Bagley the player, but it just shows that the front office was completely wrong there. Again, I can excuse DeAndre Ayton because him and Devin Booker are pairing together very nicely at the moment. I cannot excuse passing up on Luka there. I cannot excuse passing up on some of the other guys. It's impossible. And lesser known thing is that you know how LeVar Ball is always yapping about the Ball brothers, this and that. Marvin Bagley has one of those too. His pops is a talker, bro. And I remember a month ago, it didn't get covered at all because of the Sacramento Kings, but De'Aaron Fox and Marvin Bagley's dad were beefing on Instagram. That is your best player and your future supposedly best player. Your last couple lottery picks are beefing he's beefing with his dad. How do you walk into a locker room knowing that you were just talking trash about your number two's father and vice versa? I don't understand it. And that just shows the bad leadership in this organization, bad ownership, bad GMing, bad coaching, and at this moment, bad players too, because they don't want to hoop. And that could go down to them not wanting to play for Luke Walton or whatever, but a lot of those players don't look like they want to hoop. I watched the Sacramento Kings in the bubble, and a very first game, De'Aaron Fox basically put up 40. He has his career night. And other than Bogdanovich, nobody else shows up. Luke Walton's rotations, ridiculous. And when you look at the 15 teams in the Western Conference, and I was just thinking about this before I hit record. Every team in the Western Conference has a brighter future than the Sacramento Kings at this moment. And the Kings have been in the lottery for over a decade. They have been in the lottery for over a decade. And yet, when it comes to ranking the future of this organization, they are dead last. That's sad. I'm sorry, Kings fans. I feel bad for you. But that is sad. Vladdy don't know what he's doing. He never did. He fooled some people. He never knew what he was doing. Last year was a fluke. You know what? I guess I could talk about this because nobody at House of Highlights has told me I can't talk about my show. But I have a show at House of Highlights where I interview NBA players and react to their highlights is the main theme. But I kind of evolved it to the points where I basically just asked the talent stuff that I want to talk to them about. So we had DeMarcus Cousins. That's not a spoiler. I think I tweeted a picture of me and Boogie together. And Boogie's a player that's had a lot of coaches. He's had a lot of things throughout his career. So he has his reputation, right, of not getting along with people in the front offices, the coaches and stuff. So one of the questions that I was super excited to ask him is about his favorite coaches, right? He's had a bunch of them in his past. And he mentioned two names. He said Alvin Gentry, because, I mean, when they were playing in the Pelicans, they were doing pretty well. Alvin Gentry might get fired in the next couple of days. What the heck do I know? But it's been rumors. My laptop's going to die soonish. It's tough. And then the second name he mentioned was Dave Yeager. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he only played for Dave Yeager for one season, maybe two. But Dave Yeager, when I looked at the stats, had Boogie playing his best basketball. Dave Yeager is and was a good coach. And from my understanding, from what had happened, and hopefully Kings fans, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because again, this is rambling. This is not scripted, not a ton of research into it either. The reason he was fired or let go or they split ways is because him and Vlade Divac couldn't agree on what players to play, what type of players to draft. There was just like butting heads. Vlade Divac is wrong. Vlade Divac is wrong. Dave Yeager know what the heck he's doing. And I pray that Dave Yeager gets another job soon because he had been a pretty good coach. So, yeah, I'm sorry, Kings fans. I wish things were better. And I saw somebody on Twitter because I try to follow one or two guys from every NBA team's Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Like we got Kings Twitter, Bulls Twitter, Bucks Twitter. I try to follow a few from everything. And one of the Kings fans I follow, he was like, I feel like the De'Aaron Fox era with the Sacramento Kings are going to be like the Boogie era with less drama. And I was like, wow, that's trash. Lonzo Ball's future is something y'all saw I wanted to kind of talk about because it's interesting to me. I don't know what his future looks like. What type of contract he'd be worth once that time comes around. He's one of the most curious cases in the NBA, especially at this moment after his bubble performance and everything where he stunk it up on the offensive side of the ball. And this is my 100% analysis of Lonzo Ball off the dome. Again, rambling. When I watch him play, he is an extremely great open court passer, right? When you're running the break, there are not many players in the NBA that can pass like him. The likes of Luka, the likes of LeBron, the likes of Ben Simmons. He's in that echelon of passers in the full court on the break. Half court wise, subpar playmaker. Subpar. I'm sorry. That's what I see when I watch Lonzo Ball. Subpar playmaker, and definitely in comparison to the way he when he's running the floor. Great defender. One thing he's always going to have is that great defense. But in the half court, he's basically a nothing. He's basically a nothing. So what do you value a player like that? You know? Do the Pelicans look at him and be like, that's our point guard of the future? I do not know. Him and Zion on the court together, if you're running the break, it's beautiful. But if you're in the half court, what's going on? You know, and Lonzo has taken steps each year to improve his jump shot. Like I remember on my podcast, we had a huge argument about Lonzo Ball's jump shot his rookie season, because you remember he started off terribly. And we were talking about him reformulating his jump shot in the aesthetic portion because it didn't look good and it didn't go in. And slowly he's made small changes to make it more normal, but he still has a little thing going on. So each year he has been getting better at shooting. This year, if you take a look at it, there's signs that this year of shooting, it wasn't great, it wasn't bad, but it still could be a fluke. Reminiscent of Russell Westbrook MVP season. Russell Westbrook MVP season, his shooting was amazing. He had never done that before. That could be where we're going with Lonzo Ball. So I'm very curious to what his future's like on the open market once we get there. Like, do they see him as a part of the point guard of the future? And if not, do they try to trade him before contracts start to be talked about and everything? Because though he has those holes in his game, it's impossible for you to look at that man and say that he still doesn't have upside available, like still upside left. So if you're like, okay, I don't want to be the one to pay Lonzo, I know somebody out there will make a trade for him. Do you just call around? I don't really know. I wish Lonzo nothing but the best, because he's one of the players that came into the league with like the most pressure on his back. And it's not his own fault. You know, he's always just been a basketball player. It's the things that are going on around him with his father and everything that he's had the most pressure. And that's why I was so happy to see him get out of L.A., because some of those lights aren't on you as much. And then the lights get put right back on you when Zion comes in town, right? Zion comes to play and everybody's watching your basketball game. So you have to perform, and people are looking at your stats and stuff. So, yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know what his market is looking like. I don't know what his future looks like. You're going to get a supreme playmaker in the full court, good defender, all defensive level type in the future. I could see that from Lonzo Ball. But in the half court, not really much going on. I've been wondering a bunch about, like, I don't know how much I'm going to say about this topic, but, like, revolutionary things in basketball, right? Like, I don't remember much about the 7 seconds or less offense and the Phoenix Suns, because at that time I was like 10 years old. I did watch a bunch of stuff about it because I recently had Amari Stoudemire on my show too, but I wasn't really remembering it live, right? But as you know, a lot of things that was going on with that 7 seconds or less offense are relevant today. Teams are running stuff from that today. And I wonder the people that were at that time were looking at him like, oh, snap. This is going to improve the future of basketball. The way this team is playing with their jump shooting, with their fast pace, this is the future, right? I wonder if people are doing that. And then I wonder if there's something going on right now that may be different, that we can look at 15 years from now and be like, oh, snap, I remember this team started that. And the main thing that brings that to me is the Rockets, right? The Rockets, super small ball. They're the only team doing it at the moment. But I could see it becoming the norm-ish. Obviously, you're going to always still have talents like Joel Jokic and Karl Anthony Towns type stuff, where, like, you're not going to pass on them in a draft because you want to go small ball. Like, you're going to prioritize talent over everything. But I could see that becoming maybe not the norm. I'm not saying every team's going to come out there and be 6'6" and shorter, but, like, those type of lineups. Well, you know what? It probably goes back deeper than that, right? Like, what team was closing out games with the small ball lineup first? I don't know who was the first to do it, but I know the Warriors were doing it to the peak of basketball with Draymond Green at the 5, right? So maybe that's where it started. And instead of it just being the end of games, the Houston Rockets, Daryl Morey and companies like, you know what, we're going to run 48 minutes like that. We're going to run 48 minutes like that. It works so well with the lineup of death that we want to run it for 48 minutes because we have some of the best players in the league. I don't know. I wonder, like, what else could be revolutionary? Like, I definitely remember, like, Steph Curry, right? Steph Curry coming into the league and doing what he started with, like, everybody was taking threes and everything. That's revolutionary. I don't know, like, the younger kids growing up. Like, I have a cousin who's training every single day. He want to make it to the league. Shout out to EJ. And I know for sure that he's got a burner on him. You know what I'm saying? He's practicing hitting that 3 ball. But I also see my boy EJ in the midi. He's trying to be a well-rounded player, and I mess with that. Shout out to Uncle for making sure he's well-rounded. But, like, if you were to go up to the Y, right? This is hypothetical. We go up to the Y, and there's some kids there, or maybe not even kids. It could just be high schoolers or whatever. People walk into the gym and immediately start jacking threes. No warm-up, no form shooting, no stretching legs, arms, yada, yada, yada. They just want to shoot threes, and that's the Steph Curry effect. So, like, I remember I wasn't watching, but I saw a clip of one of those early date media shows. I don't know which one. I don't know if it was Colin Cowherd or Skip Bayless or some more of those trash people that talk. But one of them was talking about how Steph Curry wasn't a revolutionary player. And it blows my mind that those people have shows on TV. You get what I'm saying? Because, like, how are we watching the same thing? How are we watching the same thing if you don't think Steph Curry and the 3-point shooting era, it doesn't start there with Steph? How is that even possible? That you can even say that he didn't revolutionize anyway. And I don't want to transition to those daytime guys because I don't know them as people. I know for sure that this is the thing, that a lot of the times with those dudes, they don't believe what they're saying. They're doing it for the paycheck. And at the end of the day, get your paper, fella. I'm not gonna count your money, get in your bag. But, like, I wish I would watch a show where the guy was being honest with himself and honest with his audience. You know? Like, there's never going to be a time where on this show, on my podcast, or anything else I do, where I'm going to have a hot take just for having a hot take because I know people are clicking and people watch it. That's just so lame to me. And it's like, the whole thing of, like, clout is one hell of a drug. That's what that is to me. But attached to this clout is their paycheck. So they have to be clouted. Because if this person doesn't have this hot take, maybe people don't watch, and maybe their ratings go down, and maybe his show gets canceled. So he has no choice but to be this way or that way. The dude was calling Kawhi Leonard number 2 for a whole season and a half. Then just like that, I'm back, baby. No, that's not you. You're doing it for the Raiders, and it bothers me a little bit. But I don't watch those shows, so I don't give them that love. I think that's it. That's all I got to ramble about today. It's some more stuff like 2K21's dropping soonish in a month or so, and I don't know how my league is going to work, but I don't know how many of y'all care about that, so I'll quickly go through it. I was going to say I'm not going to talk about it, but I'll quickly go through it. Or, like, because we don't even know what the 2021 season looks like, how the heck is my league going to work? Where do they start it? Are we starting it like this whole pandemic and this bubble don't matter, and we're starting in September? They're starting it in January, and then are we just going to have these same old rosters? They're probably not going to change a single thing about these rosters. These same old rosters, and then just have the draftees queued up, and then the day after draft night, the roster's live? Because I don't know. Like, were they scanning the rookies? Because we've been under lockdown I guess we're not locked down anymore, but we've been under strict rules of not having gatherings and this and that for 5-6 months now. So do they have time to scan the upcoming rookies? Because listen, I know they did like LaMelo and stuff because he's already in 2K20. But, like, who's a random? Tyrell Terry is the first thing that comes to mind, and I don't even know if that's his name. If I get a generic 2K face for him, I'm going to be pissed. I'm sorry. And I know it doesn't affect gameplay or anything like that. It's just for my own optics. Because I'm not doing gameplay on my channel mostly. I'm just simulating stuff and looking at numbers and things like that. So if I just have an auto-generated face for that man, I'm going to be so upset. And that's one of the main reasons I think that my league in 2K21 is going to be a copy-paste of 2K20. And if that's the case, we transitioning on the main, bro, and that's between me and you. We transitioning to something else. We gotta open up our bag of tricks and see what the heck these other communities about, because the Miley community will be dead by 2K21 if nothing changes. It's sad. That's it. Let me know what you think about this. My Insomniacs, love y'all. The rest of y'all get love too, but you feel me? Insomniacs, I'm with y'all. I'm gonna get this up soonish. So bye.